An Irish father has described the moment he found the battered, bruised and naked body of his 2-year-old daughter as she lay dying at his girlfriend's home. Michael Cawley fell to his knees crying and pleaded for daughter Santina to respond to him in the blood-stained room, he told the murder trial for his former partner Karen Harrington, 37. Santina was found with fractures to the skull and ribs, a brain injury, bruises to almost every single part of her body and an injury to her spine, shortly before she was confirmed dead at Cork University Hospital in July 2019. A stud earring from Santina's left earlobe was on the floor, with clumps of her torn-out hair, Mr. Cawley told a Central Criminal Court sitting in Cork. He told a jury of 7 men and 5 women that he had left Karen's Elderwood apartment at 3 a.m. on July 5, in order to look for a cousin in Cork city centre. He stated that Santina got on well with Karen. Mr. Cawley said when he returned about 2 hours later, a next-door neighbor of Ms. Harrington's approached him outside the apartment and said that Karen had gone mad inside. He claimed that the man told him that Karen was roaring and screaming inside and asked him if it was his baby who was with her. He said that initially he wasn't alarmed. He wondered if Santina had been up crying or if Karen had needed to give her a bottle or a nappy change. Mr. Cawley said when he entered the apartment he was in shock at what he saw. I could see blood on the floor near the sink. I could see broken glass on the ground. Karen was on the couch lying down. I could see the blanket that Santina was on when he left, but the blanket was on her, Santina's, face. I said to Karen, "What is going on?" He said that Santina was dressed when he left her but that now she was naked. Santina didn't look right in the face. One of her eyes was half closed and the other eye was open. There was a bruise on her left face. I checked her pulse. She was warm. I tried to speak to her. I was on my knees crying, "Please, please Santina, say something." I asked Karen what is going on. She just ran down the stairs and left through the bottom of the apartment through the front door. I asked the neighbor to call the ambulance. Mr. Cawley said he was deeply distressed. The guards arrived and asked me to remain outside. The paramedics arrived. I broke down crying. I was crying my heart out. Paramedics wouldn't allow me to go in the ambulance because they needed the space to work on Santina. He said that Karen turned up with a random woman and he asked his then-girlfriend if it was his daughter's blood that was in the apartment. He claimed she said it was in fact blood from her foot. The other woman stated that Karen would not touch a fly. Mr. Cawley told the jury that he found it hard to take in what was happening at the time. I was in a state of shock. I couldn't stand. I couldn't sit. I think I just wanted to be with my daughter in the hospital, he added. when he was being cross-examined by Brendan Gray at South Carolina. For the defense, Mr. Cawley said that it was a privilege to look after Santina. He stated that he was separated from his wife and was a full-time single dad to Santina. He strongly rejected suggestions from the defense that he struggled to cope with Santina. He stated that Santina got on great with Karen, who was his partner of several months. He said that Santina lived with him in Grattan Street in Cork City, but they often stayed in Karen's then home at 26 Elderwood Park. On Tuesday, extensive CCTV footage was shown to the jury with a woman, whom the prosecution say was Ms. Harrington, leaving her apartment shortly after Mr. Cawley returned home. The footage showed Mr. Cawley arriving at the apartment at 5:10 a.m. on July 5, 2019 with the woman, believed to be Ms. Harrington, leaving the apartment a minute later. Mr. Cawley's trip to the city center from 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. was logged on CCTV at various intervals around Black Rock and the city. The trial previously heard from Shongaland, South Carolina for the prosecution, that the evidence would be that several neighbors heard noise emerging from the apartment where Santina was found critically injured. He said the state would call evidence from neighbor Dylan Olney that he heard shouting coming from the apartment. Not only did Olney heard a child screaming, they could also hear the accused shouting directly at the child, taunting and mocking and terrorizing the child. The state would also call evidence from a female neighbor that she heard Ms. Harrington screaming and what she thought was the sound of glass smashing. The trial will continue today and is expected to last up to 5 weeks. It will involve the calling of more than 100 witnesses.